Okay, in terms of solutions,
Yeah.
I got to ask you a few things. So one, parenting.
Yeah. 5 and 7-year-old.
So I'm sure you've figured it all out then.
Oh, God, no.
From a free speech perspective,
Yeah.
from a free speech culture perspective, how to be a good parent.
Yeah. I think the first quality you should be cultivating in your children if you want to have a free speech culture is curiosity and an awareness of the vastness that will always be unknown. And getting my kids excited about the idea that's like, we're going to spend our whole lives learning about stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's vast and exciting and endless, and we'll never make a big dent in it, but the journey will be amazing. But only fools think they know everything, and sometimes dangerous fools at that. So giving the sense of intellectual humility early on, being also, saying things that actually do sound kind of old-fashioned. But I say things to my kids like, listen, if you enjoy study and work, both things that I very much enjoy, I do for fun, your life is going to feel great and it's going to feel easy. So some of those old-fashioned virtues are things I try to preach. Counterintuitive stuff like outdoor time, playing, having time that are not intermediated experiences is really important. And little things like I talk about in the book about when my kids are watching something that's scary. And I'm not talking about like zombie movies, I'm talking about like a cartoon that has kind of a scary moment, and saying that they want to turn the TV off. And I talk to them and I say, listen, I'm going to sit next to you and we're going to finish this show. And I want you to tell me what you think of this afterwards. And I sat next to my sons. And by the end of it, every single time, when I asked them, was that as scary as you thought it was going to be? And they was like, no, Daddy, that was fine. And I'm like, that's one of the great lessons in life. The fear that you don't go through becomes much bigger in your head than actually simply facing it. That's one of the reasons why I'm fighting back against this culture. I'd love, for all of our kids to be able to grow up in an environment where people give you grace and, accept the fact that sometimes people are going to say things that piss you off, take seriously the possibility it might be wrong, and be curious.
Well, I have hope that the thing you mentioned, which is because so much of young people's stuff is on the internet, that they're going to give each other a break because then everybody is cancel worthy.
Generation Z hates cancel culture the most. And that's another reason why it's like people still claiming this is even happening. It's kind of like, no, you actually can ask, kids what they think of cancel culture, and they hate it.
Yeah. Well, I kind of think of them as like the immune system. That's the culture waking up to like, no, this is not a good thing.
I am glad though. I mean, I'm one of those kids who is really glad that I was a little kid in the 80s and a teenager in the 90s, because having everything potentially online, it's not an upbringing I envy.
Well, because you can also do the absolutist free speech. I like leading into it.
Yeah.
Where I hope for a future where a lot of our insecurities, flaws, everything's out there.
Yeah.
And to be raw, honest with it, I think that leads to a better world because the flaws are beautiful. I mean, that's the flaws is the basic ingredients of human connection.
Robert Wright. He wrote a book on Buddhism, and I talked about trying to use social media from a Buddhist perspective, and like as if it's the collective unconscious meditating, and seeing those little like angry bits that are trying to cancel you or get you to shut up, and just kind of like letting them go the same way you're supposed to watch your thoughts kind of trail off.
I would love to see that like visualized. Whatever the drama going on, just seeing the sea of it, of the collective consciousness, just processing this and having a little like panic attack and just kind of like breathing it in.
Looking at the little sort of hateful, angry voices kind of pop up and be like, okay, there you are. And I'm still focused on that thing.